Final Destination Bloodlines coming out so soon, I thought it would be really fun to rank and put into a tier list all of the deaths in the Final Destination franchise so far. The Final Destination franchise is notorious for its creative and over-the-top death scenes, usually intentionally misleading the viewer a few times before coming in with the kill unexpected. So a big disclaimer before we start, this video is going to include spoilers for all of the Final Destination films 1 to 5. Obviously we don't have the new one yet, but when that one does come out I do plan on doing some videos, maybe ranking all of the death scenes. Some of the deaths in this franchise of even main characters are spoken about but not shown on screen, and I'm not going to be talking about those ones today. I'm literally just going to include all the ones we actually get to see. There will be 5 tiers, and the top tier will be ones that are the most creative or the ones that have stuck in my mind the most. They may be the ones that seriously unlocked a new fear within me, and the ones at the bottom of the tier list are just going to be ones that are more forgettable. So I will quickly go through all of my tiers now. Starting at the top we have S tier, and I have named this one Can't Escape Death. Next is A tier, and I've named this one Forever Iconic. And then we have B tier, which is Nice Try Death. Next is C tier, and I've put this one as Lacks Creativity. And then we have the bottom tier, the D tier, which is What Happened Again. The kind of pattern of the Final Destination films is that at the beginning there is always a premonition where there is a disaster happening where loads of people get killed, and then following the premonition, the person who has the premonition freaks out and of course gets the hell out of there because they've just seen something awful happening, so they leave as well as some other people. The disaster actually happens, and because the people that left the scene cheated death, they now have death after them. Death comes to them in the order they would have been killed in the premonition, but the most notable thing about this is that all of these people now die in these freak accidents. They're really unique and interesting ways that death decides to finally take them, unless of course they can cheat death again, but death always comes back around. Starting with the first film, of course we have the plane crash. This starts as a premonition and then of course actually happens, but after some of our main characters have left the plane. The plane that crashes is Flight 180, and this number is very, very important to the franchise. It comes up a lot. It kind of plays in with the life's pattern. There are no coincidences. Sometimes when it comes up you just know that something's going to happen and someone's going to die. This opening scene of the flight is definitely one that a lot of people remember and became very iconic in the franchise, so of course I'm going to put this one in Forever Iconic. The first person that death comes for after the premonition, one of the students that gets off of the plane, is Todd, and he actually ends up dying in his bathroom. This is quite an iconic scene, but compared to a lot of the deaths in the franchise, this one doesn't stand out too much. It is still one that I personally do remember because of course it is the first one that we see besides the premonition, but from the premonition to actually kind of first start working out what's happening in this film and to see death come back around. So Todd is in his bathroom and we see lots of different things happening. We get misled a few times. We see a leaky pipe, we see electrics near it, we think he's going to get electrocuted. He then starts shaving himself. We think maybe he's going to slip on some water and cut himself really badly or something, but ultimately he actually ends up slipping, falling. There's a clothesline in the bathroom and it gets wrapped around his neck loads and loads of times, resulting in him being strangled to death. He's in the bath, his feet are slipping around because the soap's in the bottom of the bath. This is definitely a creative one for the first film. They definitely get more creative as the films go on, but I'm going to put this one in Nice Try Death just because there definitely are some that are a bit more interesting. Next we have Terry. She gets run over by a bus. This happens really, really quickly. It is literally just her talking, stepping out into the road and a bus coming straight at her. Because this one is quite short, it does kind of get you as a jump scare, so I'm not going to put it right at the bottom, but I think I am going to put this one in Lacks Creativity because of course so much more could have happened. So next we have actually my favourite one in the first film, and that is the teacher, Valerie. She kind of goes through a lot actually. She's at home alone in her kitchen. So this all starts off when she pours hot water into a mug to make some tea, but then she kind of has a freak out moment because of everything that's happened, throws the hot water away, pours frozen vodka into the same cup that is of course hot. The cup starts cracking, which is kind of our first signal of, oh, is this going to be something that leads to her dying? She ends up walking with the mug, leaving a trail of vodka behind her. She brings it over to her computer and puts the mug on top of her computer, obviously causing the vodka to be spilling out onto the computer. She kind of leans in closer to the monitor to figure out what's going on because she hasn't realised that the mug is leaking. When she leans in closer, the monitor explodes and causes a shard of it to go into her neck. She limps over to the kitchen, but quickly the trail of vodka ignites, causing a fire. She falls to the floor, tries to grab a tea towel, but as she grabs it, a knife comes down with it and stabs her. So she is just laying on her kitchen floor with a knife sticking out of her. She's got a shard of her computer in her neck. Alex, the main character from the first film, rushes into her house because he's starting to work out that things are happening and working out Def's plan. When he comes in, her oven actually explodes, causing a chair to fall on her, causing the knife to go in even deeper and ultimately killing her, putting her out of her misery because she's gone through so much at this point. So this one definitely deserves first place because this is honestly traumatizing. Next is Billy Hitchcock. He's kind of the jock of the school. He's kind of a bit of an idiot, but he's still their friend. He ends up dying quite quickly actually. They are standing by some train lines, and as a train goes past, a piece of metal that is stuck in the wheel comes flying out straight into his head, slicing it in half. This is really gory and unexpected. I think this is kind of showing us in the franchise that some of the deaths will be kind of longer, drawn out, have us wondering, and some will just happen without us expecting it, without a build up. I think I'm going to put this one in nice try death because it is kind of a middle of the ground. It's not that creative, but it is unexpected. So it does have that element of being memorable because it's kind of almost like a jump scare. And lastly, from the first film, we have Carter's death. He's killed by a billboard sign that is rammed into him from behind. We unfortunately don't actually get to see this play out because this is kind of how the film ends. It does cut off. So I'm going to put this one in the last tier, what happened again, because I don't really find this one very memorable and it's not really one that we actually get to see anything happening. So moving on to the second film, we start off with the premonition of the big accident, and this time it is of a car pileup. This one has a really iconic scene that I think unlocked a new fear in so many of us, and that is the truck that has all the logs on the back. If you know, then you know, and if you don't, then maybe watch that scene, but be warned because it is very traumatizing, and if you see out in real life a truck with logs on it, then it may cause you to panic a little bit because it does me anyway. I think even for that element alone, I'm going to put the car pileup in forever iconic. We then have Evan Lewis. This is one of the deaths that kind of misleads you a few times. He's cooking in his kitchen, but there ends up being a fire, so he escapes through the fire exit, but just when you think he's escaped and safe, he ends up falling, and then the ladder falls onto him, impaling him through his eye. I personally love these scenes where we're misled a little bit, so I think I am going to put this one in forever iconic. Next is Tim Carpenter, and this is the dentist scene. This is probably my favourite death in the second film. This has a big lead up. When he's sitting in the dentist chair, that's when you think that something is going to happen. Again, a few things start happening. He ends up actually having a fish toy thing fall into his mouth and he's kind of suffocating, but the dentist manages to come in just in time to save him from that. He seems fine as he is leaving the dentist, but that's when death comes for him and a massive glass panel falls on him, crushing him, killing him instantly. Although his actual death wasn't something crazy, the lead up and the scene before is what really sells this one for me. So of course this one has to go in, can't escape death. Next is Nora Carpenter, and for some reason this is one of my least favourite deaths in the franchise. I don't even know why, but it always has been. I think it is down to the fact that the second film is one of my least favourites. But Nora actually ends up getting decapitated after getting her head stuck between the doors of a lift, and the lift starts moving and the platform goes to the next floor alongside her head. She is trying to escape the escalator because she believes the man in there is going to kill her after receiving a phone call saying that she needs to be wary of a man with hooks, because a man with hooks is kind of the way that she is going to die. So she freaks out, which ends up causing her own death. But the man in the escalator is really weird anyway, so I would probably also be trying to get away from him. I am going to put this one in lacks creativity. I just don't love this one. Next is Kat, and she dies when her airbag goes off. There is somebody working on her car. I think they're trying to get it unstuck. They slam a device into her car, causing her airbag to go off, but there are some pipes behind her, so when the airbag goes off, it causes her head to be pushed back really quickly, and then she is basically impaled by these metal spikes. This is actually linked with the next one. I'm going to put this one in nice try death. Following Kat's death, she drops her cigarette, which ignites a gas leak, following all the way to a news van, which explodes. This explosion causes a wire fence to be hurled towards Rory, cutting him into into 3 pieces. This is also a short and sweet one, so I'm also going to put this one in Nice Try Death. Next we have Eugene and Clear Rivers because they are both killed in the same way in the same incident. Eugene is in the hospital and he is linked up to an oxygen tank. Clear Rivers walks in the room and it causes the tank to get unplugged and things to happen. Basically the oxygen tank explodes and causes a massive explosion in the hospital, especially where they are, so they both get incinerated. To be honest, I don't absolutely love this death scene. I do think the characters could have had a more interesting death, so I am going to put both of those into lacks creativity just because I didn't want to put it in the bottom tier. And lastly, in the second film we have Brian's death. This one is kind of very over the top and quite campy because they are having a family barbecue. He kind of mentions to his family about cheating death kind of, and then he walks over to the barbecue and the barbecue explodes. But the most campy part about it is that his arm that is severed from the explosion lands on the table where the family are about to eat. So I do like that aspect of it, but it is one of the ones that is forgettable for me, unfortunately, so it is going to go in the bottom tier. Moving on to the third film, we start off with the premonition of the accident happening on the roller coaster. Like always, some people get off and they are the ones that death is going to be after. In this film, I am going to put the roller coaster scene in Forever Iconic, but what is really iconic is the next 2 deaths, and this is Ashley and Ashlyn. They end up getting burnt alive inside their tanning beds. This is a scene that is definitely engraved into my brain since the first time I watched it. This is another one of those ones where kind of a few things happening and you're thinking something's definitely going to happen soon. What happens is they actually end up getting trapped inside the sunbeds. The temperature ends up going up and up and they just get absolutely incinerated. There is music playing in this scene too. They are singing along to Love Roller Coaster. I'm definitely going to put this one in Can't Escape Death because it has to be one of the best scenes in the whole franchise. Next is Frankie's death. He actually ends up getting killed through a drive-through. A truck is coming down the hill and I assume the brakes aren't working or something because it can't stop, and it causes a series of events to happen on the road, and he actually ends up having his head go onto a truck engine fan. You can just imagine what that looks like. It is a very gory scene. The lead up on this one isn't that massive. I'm going to put this one in Nice Try Death. Next we have Luis Romero. He gets his head crushed at the gym. This is also one of my favourite scenes in the franchise. This is again one where you think something's going to happen and then it's something else that happens. There's a leak near electrics. There are 2 swords on the wall above him that are decoration, but they are wobbling and you just think that they're going to decapitate him or something. The gym situation is also very overstimulating. There's a lot of noise happening at this gym and a lot of movement causing things to kind of shake about and stuff. The 2 swords do actually fall down, but they miss his head, so he thinks he's safe. He does one more rep on his weights machine, but when he does this rep, 2 of the weights come flying in and just smush his head. I love how this one has a build up, but not only does it have a build up, it also has kind of the element of surprise because you really think that he's okay and that he's cheated death, but he's obviously not. This one has to be in the top tier for me. Next is Erin's death. She actually ends up falling backwards in a warehouse. There are loads of really tall shelves and stuff, but when she falls backwards, she actually falls onto a nail gun and the nail gun goes off through her head multiple times. This is a really memorable one, so it's definitely going to have to also go in Can't Escape Death. It's going in the top tier. Next is Perry's death. This is another one that is quite quick. They are at a carnival. There are fireworks going off which scares a horse. The horse ends up running and a flagpole ends up impaling her. This is very straightforward. It's not really anything original, so I am going to put this one in lacks creativity. And then we have Ian's death. I would say this one lacks even more creativity because this is another one that is just kind of over with really quickly. He gets crushed by a cherry picker. This is again at the carnival, done really quickly, so I am going to put this one in the bottom tier. Lastly, for the third film, we actually have another premonition scene. So this film starts off with a premonition at the start and the end. This premonition is on a subway train crash. This is the end of the film, so we don't actually get to see all of it, but I am going to put this one in Nice Try Death because it is kind of a cool scene to end the film with. We are now on the fourth film. This film was called The Final Destination, although it wasn't The Final Destination because we got another one after it and now we've got another one coming out. The full film starts with a speedway accident, premonition, and then obviously the event actually happens minus a few people. I'm going to put this one in Nice Try Death. It's definitely not my favourite opening. We then have the death of Carter. Carter is not a nice person. He's a racist. he's just out causing trouble and crimes, just being an awful, awful person. He actually ends up getting burned alive and dragged down the street. I'm going to put this one in forever iconic because sometimes we love to see characters we hate die. Next is Samantha Lane. This one kind of is quite a quick one as well. There is someone mowing the lawn and a rock gets caught in the lawnmower and gets flung out and goes through her eye. Quite creative, quite short though, so I am going to put it in nice try death. Next is Andy, and he dies because an explosion pushes him back into a metal fence and it basically causes him to be turned into chunks. Again, this one is a kind of shorter one, so I am going to put this one in nice try death as well. Now we have Hunt's death scene. This one is definitely over the top. His special lucky coin ends up getting flung into the swimming pool. He dives in after it, but it has gone down the drain. He turns around, but then he gets suctioned to the drain by his bum. The pressure from the drain is building up, resulting in him getting all of his insides sucked out of him through his rectum. This one just has to go into forever iconic. Okay, so next we have Jonathan Groves, who was another survivor of the Speedway accident. He's in the hospital, but in the room above him, an elderly man is waiting to have a bath. The bath is running, but it is overflowing. This poor elderly man can't do anything. He is shouting for help, but nobody is coming. The weight from all of the water filling and overflowing this bath causes the bath to fall through the floor and crush Jonathan. I'm not gonna lie, I did actually completely forget about this one until I did this video, so I think I am gonna have to put this one in the bottom tier. We then have George, who gets run over by an ambulance. I'm not a massive fan of the deaths that are literally just someone unexpectedly getting hit by a car. It does make for a good jump scare, but probably doesn't need to be done as many times as it has been done in this franchise. So because of that, this one is going to go in the bottom tier as well. We then have another premonition from Nick, and this time it takes place in a mall, but specifically in a cinema, where the cinema screen, you see an explosion on the actual screen and then it actually comes through the screen because of some pressurized gas that ends up making an explosion in the mall. I do really like this premonition scene, probably mainly because it is set in a cinema. I'm going to put this one in nice try death. And lastly, for the fourth film, we have a triple kill. We have the deaths of Janet, Laurie and Nick. They all get hit by a truck and then the film ends. Like I literally just said, I'm not a massive fan of when the characters just get run over. This one is a little bit cooler than the other ones because we kind of see them as x-rays and kind of see the injuries that are happening to their bones and what bones they're breaking. But I am going to put this one in lacks creativity because I think it does. So now we're on to the last film. We're on to Final Destination 5. The accident that this film starts off with is a bridge collapse. This of course follows the same formula. I think similarly to the last film, this one is also more forgettable than the first three. It is still a really good opening scene. I think I want to put this one in nice try death. Okay, so the first survivor that death's coming back round for is Candice, and this is definitely one of my favourite deaths of the franchise. She is a gymnast and she's doing a gymnastic performance. A few things are going wrong, a few things are getting wobbly, there is a nail sticking up, but what ultimately causes her death is her falling off of a support beam. She falls in a really messed up kind of way, in a really messed up position, breaking her spinal cord. This one is no doubt in my mind going in the top tier. It has to go in S tier. Next is Isaac's death. He is at a massage parlour. He gets acupuncture. He ends up falling off the bed with the acupuncture needles still in him, which is such a cringeworthy moment. As he is trying to get away, a massive Buddha statue falls on his head, smushing it into pieces. This one is definitely going into S tier as well. Next is Olivia's death, and this is part of the eye surgery scene. So she goes in for laser eye surgery. Things end up kind of going wrong and the laser beam thing ends up burning her hand. She manages to get away. You think that she's going to die whilst getting this eye surgery because it ends up being a very traumatic experience, but she actually ends up dying from falling through a window very, very high up. This one has to go in S tier as well. I know it is 3 in a row. This film definitely has some of the most iconic and memorable and creative deaths. Next we have Roy. He is a construction worker. He is working in a factory and he actually ends up getting accidentally pushed onto a metal hook which goes through his chin and out of the top of his head. This death is slightly shorter than some of the others and not so many things are happening, so I think I'm going to put this one in nice try death. Next is Dennis. This one is also quite short. He arrives at the scene to question Nathan because Nathan's the one who accidentally put the hook through Roy's head. So Dennis turns up, a sanding machine is rapidly spinning, a wrench ends up going onto it and flinging it at his face, causing it to go into his head. This is definitely one of the more more forgettable ones in this film, so I'm going to put it in the bottom tier. We then have Agent Jim Block. He actually gets shot 3 times by Peter, who I'm going to talk about in a second. I'm going to put this one straight in the bottom tier just because it's not really like a freak accident like the rest of the deaths. So we next have Peter's death, and again this one isn't like a freak accident. He's killed by Sam because Sam actually sticks a massive like meat skewer thing through him, impaling him, causing him to die. So this was a kill that wasn't done by death, so again I'm going to put this one in the last tier just because it doesn't really fit in with the rest of them. And then lastly, in Final Destination 5, it actually ends with Flight 180. This is the moment when we realise that this is a prequel to the first film. This really just kind of ties this part of the franchise together. Not the whole franchise, of course, because we have more to come, but I just have to put this one in, forever iconic. So that is all of them. I think I'm pretty happy where everything is. Let me know what you thought of my ranking, and let me know what your favourite death from the franchise is. Let me know which ones you think are the most creative and the ones that may have traumatized you the most. Final Destination Bloodlines is out so soon. I will be definitely doing lots of content around that, ranking the deaths. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in that film. I am really trying to avoid trailers, avoid the marketing, even though it is so hard because it just feels like everyone is posting about it at the moment, which is fair enough because the hype is definitely real. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in another one soon.